Kids mysteries are awesome, but how do you write them? Well, structurally, they're a lot like the mysteries that line the adult shelves. They've got clever sleuths, subtle clues, and false suspects who are often concealing their own secrets. But there are three key differences that set kids mysteries apart and allow them to play into the real emotions and dramas that we all remember from the schoolyard. Hey everybody, my kids and I have been binging Inbestigators and filing away every episode in my big murder spreadsheet. So I have a lot of data to share with you about exactly how a kid's mystery works. And we're going to start with item number one, the first thing that really makes a kid's mystery different from an adult's, and that's the crime. In most adult mysteries, we'll be writing plots about murder, but when it comes to something for kids, we obviously don't go that dark. And that actually gives us a lot more room to maneuver because there are lots of different crimes that you can choose to write about. Now, here are the big three, the three I see in plot after plot. Theft, which can be any large or small object, a pet, a bicycle, a baseball. Cheating, as in sports, academics, or elsewhere, and acts of sabotage, as in the case of the science sabotage, in which a girl's younger brother steals part of her science experiment so that she can't prove her hypothesis, which is that his room is dirtier than hers. But here's the thing that I discovered when I really started to dig into these plots and examine them. It's also entirely possible for kids' mysteries to be written around no crime at all. Our sleuths can solve the mystery of where a missing mug has disappeared to or why a doorbell isn't working. And it's actually very common to begin with the assumption that a crime has been committed, but learn that it's all a misunderstanding, as in the case of the suspect sprinkler. In this plot, it seems that a neighbor's prize roses have been sabotaged. After investigating, our sleuths learned that one of their friends turned off the sprinkler so that she could pick some strawberries, which is something that she's always been permitted to do. But the new automatic sprinkler system confused her. So when she turned it back on, she caused a flood. This sort of false crime story is a way of providing your sleuths with lots to investigate without completely filling their lives with transgression and naughty motives. Speaking of motives, this is the second big difference between kid mysteries and grown-up. And you can see why the motives have to be different for these two genres. Adult mysteries have their villain committing a profoundly evil crime, and so he needs a profoundly primal motive. In adult mysteries, I usually tell you that the crime will be motivated by one of these four things: money, love, power, or fear. So let's take a look at each of these and ask, how can we scale it down to be just a little more child-sized? Well, when it comes to mystery, the crime certainly can be motivated by cold, hard cash, like in the case of the miraculous mini golfer, where a girl uses a magnetic ball to cheat at golf and win a cash prize. But it's far more likely for it to be motivated by possessions, a game, a bike, a class project. What about the motive of love? Well, these are crimes that allow the villain to be with somebody who they care about a lot. And in a YA mystery, this could definitely be romantic love, but at the middle grade level, we're mostly talking about motivations based on the love of friendship. In the case of The Sad Little Sister, a girl named Mackenzie commits an act of theft, stealing her classmate's sun hat so that she won't be allowed outside at recess, and Mackenzie can monopolize the time of their mutual best friend. On to power crimes. In kid mysteries, we could relabel this motivation privileges and attention. This could be any sort of privilege or position that a kid might desire. A spot in the school play, a role as class president, or a role on TV, as in the case of the Puzzling Pet Day, where a girl passes her neighbor's dog off as her own so that she can win a coveted spot in a commercial for the local pet shelter. And lastly, let's talk about the motive of fear. Well, this one is staying the same. In an adult mystery, we're usually talking about fear for one's physical safety or fear of exposure. But in a kid's mystery, the fears are going to be smaller, but no less real, of course, to the child. It could be the fear of the class pet getting hurt, like the villain in the case of the turtle thief, or it could be a fear of staying at sleepaway camp, as in the case of the unhappy camper. In this episode, the sleuths have to figure out who stole the principal's phone and stuck it in a tub of rice. It turns out that our villain, should I even call him a villain? Is our transgressor? Our misbehavior? It turns out that our villain, Archie, was scared of being away from home, so he stole the phone to call his mom, then accidentally dropped it in a sink when he was startled. He put the phone in rice to dry it out, but another child, Kyle, is blamed for the theft because he's been playing pranks on campers all day long. This case is also going to let us talk about the last big thing that sets kid mysteries apart: justice. Now, every mystery, adult or child, must end with the triumph of justice, with the world set back to rights. For adult books, this usually happens when the villain is caught and convicted. And this can happen in kids' mysteries too. It can end with the villain being caught and punished for his actions. But there are two more things that often happen at the end of a kid mystery. First, a lesson is often learned, sometimes by the villain, sometimes by the other characters involved in our little drama. In the case of the unhappy camper, two lessons are learned. Archie is upset that Kyle was blamed for his actions, and so he learns to take responsibility for what he's done. Meanwhile, Kyle also accepts that he had a hand in stoking Archie's fears in the first place and learns that he shouldn't have teased his friend about being scared of staying away at camp. The second important part of kid justice is that the villain often receives some sort of accommodation or help for the situation that caused them to act up in the first place. And this happens for Archie too. He's given the opportunity to call his mom so that he'll feel better about sleeping away at camp. This is how we set the world back to rights for kids, with a lesson learned and often with understanding given. So now you know exactly what makes a kid's mystery different from an adult, and maybe you're eager to start working on your very own. In that case, I'm going to recommend you watch this video next. It's all about how to outline a mystery from start to finish, and I'm sure it will get your juices flowing.